Billionaire Charlie Munger just turned 98. Charlie Munger is probably the most quotable investor of all time. While Warren Buffett is the more public and recognizable face for Berkshire Hathaway, the iconic conglomerate as it stands today was built on Munger's blueprint of moving beyond the so-called cigar butt investing to buying wonderful businesses at fair price. Charlie Munger is known for his quick wit and sense of humor. Sometimes what he says is hilarious, sometimes it is serious, but it always gets you thinking. Here are 10 awesome things Charlie Munger has said over the years.
Specialization is the safest way up for most people. And for that reason, say surgeons know more and more about less and less. And that's what gets rewarded. And if you have a nasty fistula in your colon, you do not want a surgeon who's good at Proust or political science. It's understandable how the world rewards this specialization. I never liked it, and I loved picking up new ideas, being a great, passionate reader. And so I decided I'd make whatever living I could make doing what I like to do, which is sort of romping over a whole field. I do not recommend it to other people because the safe way up is to know a hell of a lot about something. And under our system, they find you out. It's an enormous advantage. Of course, if you learn your own language, that's a very useful gift. And of course, learning the basic math of life is another tremendous gift. And if you're really good at picking up language and doing just basic arithmetic, you can take enormous territory. You don't need much else. When I want to know something, I just learn it. If they won't explain it to you, figure it out for yourself. Has helped me enormously in life. It's also hurt me because you give terrible offense when you go into somebody else's profession and act like you know more than he does.
Right.
And I'm much smoother now than I was when I was young. And I'm still pretty insufferable. I have never looked at a calculus problem since I left Caltech. Never left it. Never looked once, never used it. And I was a whiz. By the way, I went away totally. 70 some years, that was enough. Yeah, I don't know about your calculus, but mine is gone. And so, but this other stuff never goes away. And if you keep honing it and if you get good at it, then you learn something that's more important than what they teach you in college, is you learn the method of learning. It's obvious that deferred gratifiers do better over the long pull than these impulsive children that have to spend on money on Rolex watches and other folly. And not that I'm picking Rolexes any worse than Eddie Philippe or something. But I think everybody adults should save and not be stupid at spending money and defer gratification to get more later and all those good things that we were taught, by Benjamin Franklin, thrift and so forth. The odd thing about it is that people are kind of born deferred gratifiers or not. They've done recent psychological work on that subject. And lots of luck if you're an impulsive person that has to be gratified immediately. You're probably not going to have a very good life, and we can't fix you. But if you have a slight tendency to deferred gratification, and you can feed that tendency, you're on the way to prosperity and happiness. It's that demand for immediate gratification it's the way to ruin. It may also give you syphilis. But what caused the financial success was not extreme ability. I have a good mind, but I'm way short of prodigy. And I've had results in life that are prodigious. And that came from tricks. I just learned a few basic tricks from people like my grandfather.
What were those tricks?
What kind of? Now everybody's leaning in, wanting to know.
It's too late for you old guys. there are all kinds of tricks that I just got into by accident in life. One, I invert all the time. I was a weather forecaster when I was in the Air Corps. And how did I handle my new assignment? Being a weather forecaster in the Air Corps is a lot like being a doctor that reads x-rays. It's a pretty solitary.
Yeah.
You're in the hangar in the middle of the night
Yeah.
and drawing weather maps and you're clearing pilots, but you're not interfacing with a bunch of your fellow men very much. And so I figured out the minute I was actually making weather forecasts for real pilots, I said, how can I kill these pilots? Now, that's not the question that most people would ask, but I want to know what the easiest way to kill them would be so I could avoid it. And so I thought it through in reverse that way. And I finally figured out, I said, there are only two ways I'm ever going to, I was in the ferry command, there are only two ways I'm going to kill a pilot. So I'm going to get him at icing his plane can't handle, and that will kill him. Or I'm going to get him someplace where he's going to run out of gas before he can land because all the airports are sucked in. And I just was fanatic about avoiding those two hazards. And if Kobe Bryant had had somebody like me, he'd still be with us. Yeah, it was so stupid to kill yourself that way. But just that basic, I may have learned that from my grandfather. My grandfather would say to me when I'm swimming, he'd say, swim as long as you want, but stay near the shore. Well, but you can laugh, but
No,
he was a very wise man.
Exactly. Yeah.
The best way to get what you want in life is to deserve what you want. How could it be otherwise? It's not crazy enough so that the world is looking for a lot of undeserving people to reward. If you take the modern world, where people are trying to teach you how to come in and trade actively in stocks, well, I regard that as roughly equivalent to trying to induce a bunch of young people to start off on heroin. It is really stupid. And when you're already rich, to make your money by encouraging people to get rich by trading. And then there are people on the TV, another wonderful place. And they say, I have this book that will teach you how to make 300% a year. And all you have to do is pay for shipping, and I will mail it to you. How likely is it that a person who had suddenly found a way to make 300% a year would be trying to sell books on the internet to you? And it's ridiculous. And yet, I've described modern commerce. And the people who do this all day think they're useful citizens. The advertising agents that invent the lingo, but they mislead you on purpose. And I get tired of it. And I don't think it's right that we deliberately mislead people as much as we do.
People
And
might
in
want you to-
accounting, you can do things like they do in Italy when they have trouble with the mail. You know, it piles up and irritates the postal employees. They just throw away a few carloads, and then everything
We're
flows
naming
smoothly
names again,
thereafter.
folks. That happened in some unnamed international country.
Yeah, Italy. I have a friend whose grandmother used to say that she couldn't understand why people got into envy, jealousy, because it was the only one of the sins that you could never possibly have any fun at. But generally speaking, on Wall Street, I think a lot of people have had the wrong kind of grandmothers. And this man has this wonderful horse. And it's just a marvelous horse. It's got an easy gait and good looking and everything. It just works wonderfully. But also occasionally just gets so he's dangerous and vicious and causes enormous damage and trouble and breaks arms and legs for his rider and so on. And he goes to the vet and says, what can I do about this horse? And the vet says, that's a very easy problem and I'm glad to help you. He says, what should I do? And the man says, the next time your horse is behaving well, sell it. Well, think of how immoral that is. And haven't I just described what private equity has to do? When private equity has to sell something that's really troublesome, they hire an investment banker. And what does the investment banker do? He makes a projection. You can't, I have never seen such expertise in my whole life as is created in making projections in investment banking. There is no business so lousy it can't get a wonderful projection. But is that a great way to make a living, to have phony projections and use it to make money out of people you look right into the eyes of? I would say no. And by and large, Warren and I, we never tried to make money out of stupidity of our dumb buyers. We tried to make money by buying. And if we were selling horse shit, we didn't want to pretend it was a cure for arthritis. And I think it's better to go through life our way instead of theirs.
If you mix the mathematics of the chain letter or the Ponzi scheme with some legitimate development, like the development of the internet, you are mixing something which is wretched and irrational and has bad consequences with something that has very good consequences. But you know, if you mix raisins with turds, they're still turds.
That's why they have me write the annual report.